all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free from harm. May all beings love life. May all beings awaken. Welcome to another Kook Audio Podcast. I'm DC, Poobah of Kook Audio and Kook Archives, doing our bit to help preserve the legacy of Shinshu Suzuki and those whose paths cross his. And anything else that comes to mind. I pray that you and yours are safe and comfortable, free from economic hardship, and able to get out and do whatever it is you want within the limitations of the universal precept of do as little harm as possible. So today we have a guest, Shinshu Roberts. Some of you might remember as Kokai Roberts when she used the second part of her Buddhist name before she switched to the first part. And some of you might remember her when she came as Leilani Roberts. She and her partner, Daijaku Judith Genst, founded the Ocean Gate Zen Center in Capitola. Capitola is right next to Santa Cruz. And I think she said they've been there a number of years. I think she said 17 years or something that since they founded it. The website for that group is oceangatezen.org. oceangatezen.org. And here, when you go to it, it says, the path of Zen is this very life. Welcome to Ocean Gate, a community Zen Buddhist temple in Capitola. They have a center where people go sit. We are an inclusive Sangha in the Soto Zen tradition, dedicated to making this ancient path available to everyone. She's got something else I want to mention, and that is a book that was published by Shambhala this year, Meeting the Myriad Things, a Zen Practitioner's Guide to Dogen's Gensho Koan. Author, Shinshu Roberts. Shohaku Okamura is a contributor, as is Zuiko Redding. All right, I'll read you a little of what it says in Amazon. In the words of A.A. Dogen, the 13th century Buddhist monk who introduced the Soto school of Zen to Japan, to study the Buddha way is to study the self. To study the self is to forget the self. To forget the self is to be actualized by myriad things. It's her commentary. It's a translation of the Gensho Koan by Shohaku Okamura. In addition to the translation of the Gensho Koan, which has been translated many, many, many times, personally, I trust anything Shohaku Okamura is involved with. It's got something else in it that's very important. Here, I'll read from the commentary on Amazon. In addition to a full translation of Dogen's Gensho Koan, this book includes the commentary Okikigaki Sho, notes of what was heard and extracted, written by two of Dogen's direct students, the first time an English translation of this highly influential work has appeared in print. And that's a translation by Shohaku Okamura. So that's wonderful. That's included. In this podcast, Shinshu talks about, her time at Zen Center, founding the Ocean Gate Zen Center, publishing that book, where she came from, where she went to school, and the influences that made her open to interested in meditation, and then eventually coming to the Zen Center, San Francisco Zen Center, and her years there. She also talks about work she did on the Shunryu Suzuki lecture and photo archive, which is very important. And she and I have been in touch through the decades about this. So I'm very happy to have her as a podcast guest. So look, let's hear what she has to say, and me too, because there's a lot of conversation between us in this.
Hi, David.
Shinshu, how are you?
I'm good. Let me move my camera up a tiny bit.
Oh, it's plenty up. Oh, I
Well,
see, up, not forward. Yeah,
right. So the top of my head's not cut off. So here we go.
yeah. Well, wow, it's really good to see you.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's great to see you.
yeah. So, um, what are you doing these days? You got a lot of books behind you.
Well, I guess in August of this year,
Oh,
the area that I did on Genjo Koan, Meeting the Myriad Things, was published by Shambhala.
oh, good.
Uh,
Say it again.
so,
The name.
huh?
Say the name of that book again.
Meeting the Myriad Things. And it's a commentary on Genjo Koan. And the cool thing about the book, because although, of course, I hope my commentary is good, that's the majority of the book. Here's what it looks like.
Meeting myriad things.
Yeah,
Good.
Meeting Myriad Things. That's their translation of Genjo Koan.
Yeah,
And
right.
the whole title is A Zen Practitioner's Guide to Dogen's Genjo Koan, Meeting the Myriad Things. But
Mm,
one of the things that's nice about this book is there's an appendix in the book, which is a translation of the O Kikigaki Sho, which is a 70 chapter commentary on Dogen's original 70 chapter Shobogenzo by his I can't remember whether it's Kyogo or Sene who was Dogen's disciple, and then whichever one was the other, Kyogo or Sene was a disciple of the other. Anyway, they both studied with Dogen. So this is the earliest commentary on the Shobogenzo. And Shohaku Okumura translated this. There are comments on the on the on Genjo Koan. I think back in the 90s when he was at director at for the Sotoshu in the United States, and he was living at City Center, San
right.
Francisco Zen Center, City Center, and he was the director and commuting to Sokoji every day, which is what, like a 5 block walk or something. And anyway,
No. It's more like 10, 12 blocks.
okay, but it's walkable.
Yeah.
And Dave, one of the things I noticed, I listened to the you and Ed talking about the first book on Tassajara,
Yeah.
and I thought you have a memory like a steel trap. I was just really amazed at your capacity to remember people's names and all sorts of stuff from back when. But anyway, this text, the Okikigaki Sho, has never been translated into English, and it's I believe it's only available in Japan in medieval Japanese. So that's a really cool thing to be able to. Shohaku Okumura said, "Yep, you can add that to your book," and so I also make some comments on that. And the thing about it is, it's remarkably readable. Sometimes you read these things that are from medieval whatever, and they're so esoteric and so weird that you don't, and so filled with like Zen jargons and stuff that you just don't understand.
Right.
They're about, but that's not true for this. It's actually pretty clear. So anyway, that's in the book and some other things besides the commentary.
Well, that's great. And I just made a note to, feature your book on the daily blog, which goes to Facebook and a little email list we have and Blue Sky and a few things. Peter Ford does all that. And I'll put it in the metadata, when you read what the podcast is about. That's really good to hear. I'm pretty disconnected from everything, so I didn't know.
Where do you live these days?
Bali?
In Bali? You're doing this from Bali?
Yeah, I've been here 12 years.
Oh my gosh.
With Katrinka. Never been back.
Wow. Bob.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
exotic.
Well, it's affordable.
Yeah.
California especially isn't affordable. I mean, I never had much income or anything, So this is much better and it's nice. Really good people.
Weather's nice?
Does Capitol still have that bookstore that was so good?
Well, that's in Santa Cruz, I think, the bookshop Santa Cruz.
Oh, Capitola had a really good bookstore. I did book signings there, yeah. I can't remember the name.
Oh, I remember that bookstore. Yeah, it closed, gosh, a long time ago. But I do remember that bookstore. It was a great bookstore, and they had a little cafe in the back. And
yeah,
it was good.
Yeah.
So they closed, and they expanded the movie theater that was next door.
Oh.
I think it was, probably at least 10 years ago.
Well.
Yeah, Jocko and I have a Zen center on 41st Avenue in Capitola called Ocean Gate Zen Center.
Yeah.
And we've been open now like 17 or 18 years.
And people go sit there?
Yes.
I mean, it's a silly question, but so many groups, so many groups, I wanted to emphasize it, are just Zoom now, are, you know what I mean? Since COVID, a lot of groups stopped meeting and just meet online.
Well, I'll tell you, when COVID hit, so we kept the Zendo open. So we broadcast from the Zendo. Jocko and I would go every morning that, I think we don't meet every morning, but it's like 5 days a week. And so we would go and maybe 6 days, we would go and open the Zendo every morning and have Zazen and give the talks and everything. And a friend of ours who's a Zen teacher, Ado Francis Carney, who's abbot of or soon to be abbot of the Olympia Zen Center, she said, it's good to go to the Zendo because it keeps the temple, the altar alive, the temple alive. So, and we thought that was a great idea. And anyway, it's good for us to go get on our robes and go and be there every morning and keep that spirit alive. And I think everybody I know who's a Zen teacher, when we talk about it, everybody kind of rues the day that Zoom showed up because a lot of people, sometimes people, I don't know a lot, but probably many people who used to come to the Zendo in person now go on Zoom. And so they might, like our Saturday morning program, they might live a half a mile from the Zendo, but isn't it nice to sit there with your coffee and, wearing your PJs and turn the camera off and put through a magazine during the Dharma talk? I don't know what, but anyway, it's an interesting phenomenon now.
Yeah. What about the cost of having a physical Zendo? Do you rent it?
Do we rent it? No. We pay rent, so we don't own the building.
Yeah.
And, it's I don't know, like $2,500 a month or something like that.
I
know. It's a lot of money.
That's more money than we live on.
But I know somebody in New York. They last like no 10 years ago they were paying $11,000 a month. So who knows what they're paying now?
I hear that. I hear that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and Katrinka, my wife, she
Uh-huh.
checks. She checks things like that. She goes and checks and sees what apartments. She was born in Manhattan. What apartments are and uh, yeah, yeah. A lot of people are priced out in California for getting
Yeah.
homes. My niece has a good job with the University of California, and she can't afford to buy a house.
We live in a mobile home because we could afford to buy a mobile home, and we own the land that it's sitting on. That's actually a little deeded plot. So that's nice. But we couldn't afford to buy a house here after leaving Zen Center, San Francisco Zen Center. That just wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah, yeah. So, how'd you get into all this? Where do you come from? Where are you born?
I was born in Springfield, Massachusetts, and I think I stayed there for about a month. And then my dad was in the Air Force, and then they moved to Texas. And so I've lived in Texas and New Jersey. I lived in Japan for 3 years from the age of 9 to 12.
Where?
And Tachikawa Air Base, which is outside of, I guess now it's kind of a suburb of Tokyo. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm since I was a kid, I don't know how it was like. I can tell you it was about an hour's train ride from the center of Tokyo. So I
Oh,
don't
that's
know.
pretty
It's on
far
the,
away. Well, which
you know,
train? Slow train.
that I don't know.
That's
Would
the
you remember?
slow.
Maybe
That's
you would, David, remember a train that you went on when you were 9.
uh, that's the slow train. And
The slow train.
what? So that might be before the Shinkansen was built.
Oh, definitely. This would have been 1959.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. That's almost a suburb in Tokyo. It's so spread out.
Yeah, we had a great view of Mount Fuji, and
Oh, yeah.
we lived out. They built these. They would build these kind of compound of houses, like maybe 10 houses. The Americans would, and if you couldn't get, my dad couldn't get quarters on base, so we would live out in one of these compounds. And the first one we lived in, I don't know how far away it was from the base because as a kid, mostly I was at home. But the thing that I mean, I did go to American schools, but the thing that was so cool about that was I used to wander around a lot, and there were these huge bamboo forests and shrines out in the forests,
Yeah,
and I remember people planting rice in the rice fields, and they have these kind of open sewage systems with a
oh,
kind of
yeah,
bricks on top of it, and
yeah,
remember there was a graveyard within walking distance, and
yeah,
anyway, it was just really a magical place for
yeah,
me as a kid.
yeah. Well, I lived in Japan over 30 years ago for 4 years, and that's the way it is. You can be in a city that's not at all inspiring, but you get out a little, or you'll find nooks and crannies everywhere in
Yeah,
Japan. Uh,
we were in Kyoto 2 years ago in 24. Jaku and I are associated with the Japanese, and we're registered in Japan, and we're on the board of the Association of Soto Zen Buddhists. And anyway, the Japanese Sotoshu decided to pay all of our ways to go to Japan, to go to Eheji and Sojiji, to pay respects to the abbots, um, which mostly meant that we sat very formally and listened to Akiba Roshi talking to the abbots in Japanese. And then we would, after 45 minutes, we'd leave. But it was fun to go to Eheji and Sojiji. And but anyway, we spent maybe 10 days in Kyoto, and just wandering around
oh,
is
Kyoto,
enough.
that's heaven.
Just walking down the street and seeing what people were up to, and it was great.
Yeah. Kyoto was originally one of the cities considered to be targeted for the atomic bomb, but
Thank goodness they didn't do that.
there were some high-ranking military people who knew the city. One, I think, especially that was really against it. Of course, they should have been against any of it, but in my view, the war was won. The war was already won. They were afraid of the Russians. That's why they capitulated to the Americans. They didn't want to have to do it to the Russians. But many people will disagree with that. Anyway, yeah, Kyoto, yeah, amazing. Katrina and I were there we had an Airbnb for 2 months, 11 years ago. It was so great. And
do you speak Japanese?
Yeah, I picked it up pretty quick. Not fluently, but good enough to say anything I want and talk to people. And we had, that was great. And Japanese are it's connections. If you get a good connection, they're so generous. They'll just bend over backwards to do things for you. After a while, I learned living there, don't say you like something. You see something and I'd really like to have one of those. They'll buy it for you.
Yeah.
At first, I liked it, but then I realized, no, you can't do that. And our landlady, it was the woman whose apartment it was teaching co-op stuff in Australia, and her mother was our landlady, and she came over. She was terrified to meet us, and we'd already been there in Japan for a week elsewhere, and when I could speak Japanese to her, was she relieved. And she heard Katrina was interested in flower arranging. The next day she came back and had arranged a meeting with the flower ikebana teacher. And that became, the Katrina studied ikebana the whole time we were there. We got to know those people, went to their home, and just things like that just keep happening. It's amazing. Here is my beloved wife right here. Thank you, dear. Bringing me some warm water.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. Anyway, Japan. Yeah, great. So you were there. That was a nice stopover. And and then what?
Oh, okay. So then we came back and lived in Texas for a while. And
where?
Texas, David.
Yeah, I'm from
for some
Fort
reason,
Worth.
So we came back and
where in Texas?
I'm going to tell you. We came back, lived in San Antonio. My dad retired. They stayed in San Antonio because there's a lot of military folks around there. And then I went to the University of Texas in Austin.
Oh.
Did you go to UT?
No. I went to very little college. Never completed freshman year. But San Antonio and Austin, they're both great cities, or at least were back then.
Yeah, we stayed in Austin. I stayed in Austin until 1979. So lived there for about 11 years, and then fell in love with someone, a woman, and moved to San Francisco, and then ended up at San Francisco Zen Center in '86.
Was there any precursor to going to the Zen Center? Anything happened when you were younger that made you interested in meditation, Zen? What sort of religion was your family?
Well, my family were not religious.
Yeah.
My mother, when I was a little kid, my mother sent me to, I don't know, some kind of Sunday school thing during kindergarten or something so that I would have some notion of what Christianity was about.
Mm.
Um, since it was, the prevailing culture.
Yeah.
But we never went to church or anything. And I mean, I believe that I had mystical experiences in Japan as a kid.
Mm.
And I think, I remember one time I was at City Center sitting in the Buddha Hall during service, and I just had this really, really heavy feeling like I was a Japanese monk in a monastery in Japan, 100 years before. And I think that's pretty common for a lot of people who, take up a religious vocation, having these kind of experiences as a kid. So yeah, so that was that I was pretty much a clean slate when I came to Buddhism, except that I'm 75, so I was in my 20s, in the 70s. So, I read Be Here Now, and I would do, meditation, kind of Indian style meditation stuff that I picked up, and would read books about those things. And I remember all my friends were, we read Edgar Cayce. Did you ever remember him?
Oh,
Edgar
very familiar.
Cayce,
My mother was totally into Edgar Cayce. I met his son, Hugh Lynn Cayce, when she took me to a meeting with him when I was like 13. We had a very close friend who worked at the Edgar Cayce Foundation.
Yeah, so I mean, and there was Krishnamurti. I remember seeing him one time, and there was Seth Speaks, which was some woman who was channeling some being called Seth.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah.
There's just all that stuff happening back then,
Yeah.
So I was, I can't say that I was into it hook, line, and sinker, but there was a way in which it was just, really, you're 20 years old, you're looking for something, you're trying to figure out this life.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good start, all that.
Yeah. So then, then I got interested in Tibetan Buddhism. You remember there used to be this Tibetan Buddhist center across the street from San Francisco Zen Center, from City Center, that was where the hospice ended up. There was a Tibetan center in the basement, I think, or not in the basement, it was on the first floor. And I remember going over there because I was interested in that and I wanted to sit. And I drug a friend with me, which we often do. And everybody was sitting a period of meditation. And I just felt like people were way too nice and they were way too noisy. There was some woman with jangly bracelets and things like that. And so I thought, well, okay, I'll go over to San Francisco Zen Center and see what they're up to. And I went over there and everybody was wearing black robes. This was this is when everybody wore robes. And so everybody had these robes on, and it was a scary place. I thought it was scary. And I think it reminded me of being a military kid.
Yeah.
Because there's just certain ways of doing things, and and that's what it was. And in a way, it was very comforting. It was scary, but it was like once you figured out what was going on, you could follow along and do the right thing.
Right.
So that appealed to me. And I remember I didn't go to service for a long time. It was upstairs on the first floor, and Barbara Cohn, who later became president, you probably know Barbara. She and I were kind of buddies, and Barbara and I said, well, look, we're both kind of afraid to go to service, so why don't we go together? We go together, maybe it'll be okay. So we went up there and did service. And after that, I was just totally into it. So I think it took me about a year to move into City Center. Mm-hmm. And then I was ordained the next year.
Oh, is that ordained as a priest?
Yeah.
Pretty
Reverend
quick.
Anderson. Yeah, it was. It was. I was there for 2 years. I think initially he might have had second thoughts about that, but I saw Reb maybe, gosh, I don't know, several years ago. I ran into him at City Center and said, I really appreciate the fact that you ordained me. He was so sweet. He just kind of teared up. It was the sweetest thing, and he seemed to be very appreciative of the fact that I told him that. But I really am glad that he ordained me, even though it was such a short amount of time. And I think he did it because I really wanted to be ordained, and there were my buddies were being ordained, and I think he kind of took pity on me.
Well, I think also you were a focused student, or you wouldn't have
Yeah,
been ordained that quick, you know?
yeah. I was very, very focused, and I, sometimes you get ordained, and people leave, they get ordained, and it doesn't stick for them. They need to do something else. But for
Right.
me, it really, was the right thing.
Yeah, Suzuki Roshi had to get used to that. Uh, that's why there was like 62 to 70, 8 years between lay ordinations. His first one and his next one, 1970, when I got lay ordained. Would there'd only been, yeah, a few individual ones for special reasons through the years. And he had to learn. In Japan, somebody goes to a temple and says, I want to be a monk. They get ordained. Don't have to wait, 2 years. I mean, usually they're born into it, but if they aren't, they can be. And they'll do what they said. They're dependable, And Americans aren't like that. Well, and in a sense, I'm not like, I mean, I was ordained in them for 71. And, for, I'd been like a company man for 10 years. And, well, 66 to 76. And, I moved to Bolinas to live with Liz Okamura, Liz Twomey. And it was, Baker Roshi and I stayed close. There was no split from Zen Center. It was just, I wanted to live outside and that.
Yeah.
But I gradually stopped. And then when I came back from Japan, I've never worn robes again, and that was 92. And so you have patterns like that. I'm glad I did it, but I had no business being ordained a priest. To me, I just did it to be close to Suzuki Roshi. It's something to do with him. And Reb tried to tell me, the responsibility and the path and this and that. And I just wasn't material for that.
But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's problematic when people get ordained and then they don't go through the whole process, and then they set themselves up as teachers and things like that, and they're roshis or whatever it is, and I have a problem with that. But I just think there's a no, I don't know, David, there's something there stuck to you,
Yeah.
still forever.
Yeah. That's what Suzuki Roshi called, at least in one lecture, the eyes of Buddhism are on you, right? And I wrote about it in the first Dasara Stories book. It perfectly paralleled the eyes of Texas. You cannot
Yes,
get away. Yeah, and I was pretty new to Zen Center. I went, wow, and yeah, I feel that way. I've never been able to get away from the eyes of Buddhism. I've never wanted to.
Yeah. It's I'm so inspired by, I'm into Dogen and Sojin Weitzman ended up being my honshi, so he's the
Oh, is
one
that
who,
right? Yeah.
yeah, gave me and Daijaku and I don't know 30 other people Dharma transmission.
Yeah.
So I think somebody said one time, maybe it was Blanche Hartman said, she said something like, uh, and I want to be careful about how I say this because it's like the person that gives you Dharma transmission is like kind of like you want to be like them, and there's this kind of sense of a way of being, and I'm want to be careful about that because I don't feel any sense of I feel nothing but gratitude for Tenshin Anderson for ordaining me.
Oh, yeah.
But, I feel like Sojin, I had this kind of affinity with, I want to grow up and be like him.
Yeah.
Not that there's any, of course, Tenshin Anderson, Reb's teachings are absolutely spectacular and wonderful and beautiful.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, trying to denigrate that, but there was something about my relationship with Sojin that was kind of like, well, I don't know, I wanted to be like him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I gravitated towards being his student.
Yeah. Well, they're both teachers that had many, many students and many, many people who felt like you did or felt, just really appreciated his practice and liked him. Reb has had such enormous influence on so many people, and yeah, they're very different, but they worked together as co-abbats.
Yes.
For a long
Yes.
time, and
Yep.
they got along well, and they're just so opposite.
They are. They are, and they each have absolutely wonderful qualities and understanding of the Dharma
Yeah,
and embody that.
yeah. Mel's lack of ambition is, and you know, he ended up, sort of running the fledgling Berkeley Zendo I think starting in like '67 or something, and Suzuki Roshi just asked him to go over to that. Maybe he was already associated in some way, but he'd been living in the city, and that was his. Stayed till he was 90 or something.
91, I was reading, I ran across his obituary just today. So
91.
Sojin was 90. Yeah. Yeah, he was, he had that kind of luminosity before he died, that kind of place in there, where you're sort of luminous, and he was giving talks and yeah, I miss him, and he had a really long and full life for sure. So
No kidding.
if I live to be 91, I'll be happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. So, well, that's really neat. That's really neat. So, so you got ordained in '88,
Yeah.
and when did you begin practicing with Mel?
Well, I think he was there for a practice period that, Jocko and I were at Tassajara for 4 years. She had been there a practice period before I went. I think it was a fall practice period. Anyway, it was the one before the summer. And then I went down for the summer and stayed. And at some point, I can't remember the sequence of the teachers, but at some point, Sojin came down there and really imprinted on him.
Oh, well, he'd been at Tassajara as Shuso, as director before then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This reminds me, I was Shuso at Tassajara. I went back and I think I was Shuso in 95. I got
Hmm.
ordained really fast, but it took me forever to be Shuso. But I went back and I think it was 95 and you know about the Shuso books?
Yeah, I never. When I was just so, I never paid any attention to it, which it's
Well,
my. I'm ashamed.
well, David, I keep trying to get, I don't know if this has ever happened. I keep trying to get the folks, the powers that be at San Francisco Zen Center to copy those books because they're filled with history. Like Sojin talks about, I can't remember, you probably know the name of the Roshi who came down there and taught the forms to everybody.
Yeah, Tatsugami, Sotan Tatsugami.
Yeah, Tatsugami Roshi was there when Sojin was Shuso,
That's right.
and he wrote a lot about what that was like when Tatsugami Roshi came and taught everybody the forms and all of that.
Well, in all the archiving I've done of the Zen Center stuff, uh, I never got those. I never got the Tassar 10,000 Year book, which has
Yeah, yeah,
sporadic entries. Uh, so that's a big hole in it there that needs to be filled. Hey, keep pushing it. I'll remember to nudge them about that. And because Jiryu started this like committee about Tassara history and uh, interviewing people and all that. So uh, I, he wanted me to be on the committee. I that Peter Ford, who's really managing and running Cuke Archives now, I deferred to him. Let him go. I'm just working on books and trying to get stuff finished. Uh, but uh, I won't forget that you said that. That's just one thing I was not aware of. And that's really wonderful. That's stuff for other people to do and bring
yeah.
to
I just
life.
don't want it to get lost somehow down there in Tassajara. Like somebody sticks it somewhere and forgets
Oh,
about it.
Zen Center's lack of continuity and lack
Yeah,
of preserving things like that. Somebody
yeah,
could come in, this happened in the library. Somebody could come in and have a position and say, well, let's clear things out. Or they might give it to UC Berkeley for the Zen Center archives. That's the same as burying it in the ground. Uh,
yeah. Tassajara Library had a lot of out of print books that were, really great, wonderful books. I remember there was one. Well, you can still buy this book, but I'm pretty sure it is out of print. It's like printed in the 40s or something, and it was this large format book of black and white pictures of Chinese monasteries, Zen monasteries.
ah,
Anyway, it was a big format book. I remember that being in the library. Yeah, so there was a lot of cool stuff there. And
yeah,
it
but
is true.
Zen Center's archives, they won't even get to going through the boxes for 5 years, if then. So they're not accessible.
Yeah, I mean, people are really busy.
Yeah.
And yeah, when I was, so I had this job, half-time job. I can't remember. I guess it's when I came back from Tassajara, maybe. Anyway, I was indexing the Suzuki Roshi lectures by hand on 3x5 cards, which was really nice for me because I got to read all of his talks and the ones that were around at the time. And what's his face? The guy who originally did the transcripts. Uh,
Well, there were many people who did that.
but who was the? I want to say I don't think it was Brian, but
Yeah,
he also who?
he was one of them.
What was
God,
Brian's last name? Do you remember?
it's Brian Fikes, isn't it?
Mm, I don't know. Anyway, he did the original a lot of the ones that I read transcripts,
Yeah, he did a
and
lot. He did a lot, and he did a lot of good work on the Lotus Sutra, and uh, he did. You're right. He did an enormous amount of work.
so that was really interesting to actually sit down and read the transcripts of Suzuki Roshi's talks.
Yeah.
And then in the process of doing that, Michael Wenger had me go to Spokane, Washington, to deliver photographs for the archives that they were going to.
Yeah.
Some folks in Spokane were going to digitalize them in some kind of high quality digital thing that, and then that happened. So I was kind of the courier for that.
Oh, I'm very well aware. You know, we have all of that on
I
shinyusuzuki.com.
bet that's great. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, that was wonderful you did that. And, but all the photographs from back then are in the Bancroft libraries. And so they can't be accessed. All the old photographs
Yeah.
can't be accessed for any sort of books or Zen Center printings or anything. They're just
Wow.
inaccessible.
Why are they inaccessible?
And
They won't let you copy them, or
no, they wouldn't even. They're in boxes. You can't even get to them.
so it's like a rare book thing?
They've got to process it first, and then it's like pulling teeth. And they don't allow copies. University archives, I have a very low opinion of. And I mean, when David Schneider was working on Philip Whalen's biography, he couldn't make copies. He had to make handwritten notes.
So
I mean,
so that's like a rare books
arcane
library or
rules.
something. Their archives.
Well, no, that's just the way to get anything there. But you know, and my brother-in-law was, he was. It worked for UC Berkeley in pretty. I can't remember the name of his position. He did all sorts of historical work for them and stuff for many years, and he was well aware of that. And it's just these old antiquated rules and procedures. I mean, it'll change. It'll change in the future, and I'm partly responsible for that because Susan O'Connell asked me what I thought about it, and I said, keep the film and the lecture audio tapes, and I forgot to say the photographs.
Yeah.
And so I have no one to blame but myself.
Well, it'll all get sorted out at some point.
And one reason I didn't protest, I had a low opinion then, is because since people come in and just throw things out because of the lack of continuity.
You know, when I was Tenzo at Tassajara, there was a loft above the kitchen, above part of the kitchen, and there was a filing cabinet up there. And I guess at some point when Joan Baez was down at Tassajara, people would take, I guess like a tenku, one of the students would take her breakfast or whatever it was, and she would do little drawings. And I guess she just left them on the tray or something. I don't know exactly the story. Maybe you do. But all these little drawings were up there, like 5 or 6 drawings that she had done, and signed Joan Baez were up there in the filing cabinet. And kind of stuff like that. And I remember going back there, I don't know, a few years back and saying, well, they had cleaned out that area. Said, well, what happened to all that stuff? And they're like, I don't know. So
I do.
It
all burned up in the fire.
No. This is after the fire. I was Tenzo in like 1988, 89, something like that at Tassajara. So they didn't burn up in the fire.
There was still. Oh, okay.
But I don't know when Joan Baez was there. She was probably there back in your day when you were there.
Oh, she was there before the Zen Center bought it. She was there when I was there. She was always good to have her. That's interesting. Well.
So I have no idea what happened to that stuff, but you'd think that somebody was cleaning out that filing cabinet and saw drawings with Joan Baez written on it, would have put it somewhere. But
Yeah, in a weights basket.
Well, maybe not. Maybe it'll show up. Maybe it's in the office or something.
You don't know. Yeah. You know, we have all the early brochures, fundraising brochures and all that on Kook.com. And one of them, I didn't have, a very important one, like the second brochure or something. And I got it from a guy who'd been a Zen student, who was a guest student. And there was a box of those brochures, and he just took one.
Oh, that worked out.
He took a couple.
Yeah.
So it took time because he had it in storage, and he had to get to it. It took maybe half a year for him to get back to that and make good quality copies of it. So we've got it now. But I never saw that at Zen Center. I went through all that stuff.
Well, there was all those copies in the window down in the photocopying room in the basement.
Oh, no. I went through every single thing in that room. It was not there.
No, I understand that. I understand that. You know, there's so many people who've been through San Francisco Zen Center that probably somebody's got something from every era of time there.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But, you know, one thing, I was complaining to Philip Whalen, who lived across the hall from me in 72, about all that's lost in history in the library at Nalanda. And he just went, "Oh, David, just enough survives." And I've said that many times in podcasts because this comes up, this sort of thing. And that's I call it the motto of Kook Archives.
It's a good motto.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot. We have a lot. And a lot of that.
Yeah, and thanks to you. Thanks to you. And I wanted to get to that. Your work with preserving those photos, you know, which we use all the time.
Well, that was
and other people
Michael Winger. Michael Winger did all that work. I just carried it up there to Spokane and brought him back.
Yeah. Michael was uniquely interested in archiving. And he and I were involved for years around that. But, you know, I'm independent. I'm not Zen Center.
Yeah.
And he would be vice president and president. And we had a certain different view of what to do with things. Mine has always been to make it publicly available for free. But we had a good relationship. And, you know, there was a lot of compromise through the years. And, yeah, I mean, he was very involved in all sorts of archiving of Suzuki lectures. Bill Redican coming on. Do you ever remember Bill Redican?
Yeah.
The work he did? So many people have done so much work, and you're one of them. But you were not only. I got lectures from you. I think
that's right. I think, as I recall, at the end of this process of, I have some vague memory of at the end of the process of we found some new stuff, or you found some new stuff that needed to be transcribed. You found like 10 new lectures or something like that.
How long ago?
Oh gosh. Well, let's see. I'm really terrible at dates, but I left Zen Center in 2005. And I can't remember exactly when I was doing this. So it was probably 2004 or 3 or somewhere in up there.
Yeah.
So, but I remember that there were some talks that showed up that had been kind of newly discovered, and I think they came from you.
Oh, well, there was some of that, but I do remember you had on disc or something, a collection of Suzuki's transcripts. And it was one of the source materials for that. Do you remember doing that, or it's something I'd so? But look, this is so long ago. I've been doing this.
I'm just wondering if it's me. I mean, I remember doing the indexing of the Suzuki Roshi stuff, and I did work with Michael, and I remember doing some stuff around the actual lectures themselves. But that's about it. I don't remember any specifics.
Well, I think it might have been the indexing that turned me on to some stuff. I know there was at least one lecture added because of what you did.
Yeah.
But, I've been working on this stuff since 1988 when I started working on Thank You and Okay. I was living in Japan. And then really focusing on Suzuki's lectures and stuff starting in 93 and was involved with Michael from them. And, yeah.
Well, one of the things that I noticed about Suzuki Roshi's lectures is that, well, first of all, at one point, as I recall, he says in the lectures that sometimes he would just go in, he'd be in the abbot's cabin or up at City Center, and he would read a fascicle of the Shobogenzo, and then he would just, he gave his talks extemporaneously, right? He would just go and give a talk.
Yeah.
But when he gave the talk, he never said, "Oh, I'm doing commentary on, Kuge or something like that." He would just give the talk. So there are many talks that I think are actually commentaries on fascicles of the Shobogenzo, that he would, read the Shobogenzo and then he'd come out and give a talk. I'm not going to ever put that together, but I was talking to Carl Bluefield about it, and I said, wouldn't it be great if you had a graduate student who wanted to go and figure that out and, write something about it. But he said, that's not going to happen. That's not what graduate students are doing right now. So I just find that pretty interesting. Maybe I should talk to Juryu about it. That's the kind of stuff he might get into.
Yeah. Well, most of what I've seen done at Zen Center has been done by individuals working on their own. And that's true in a lot of fields. The institutions can sort of hobble people. Too many meetings and decisions and but the institutions are necessary. Without them, you don't have it's the two working together anyway. But that's what I've seen. So many people on their own transcribed lectures off tapes. They weren't doing it. They were doing it in their spare time.
Yeah, which there wasn't much of. So
yeah, and if you asked to do something like that, you'd be said, "Well, you're not really qualified. You're not a Suzuki Roshi disciple," which to me was just nonsense. And are, well, you have to be authorized by the, or stuff like that. And then some people just did it. It's the way things to get done. Well, you get things done in an institution, you just do them. Frequently.
In my career at San Francisco Zen Center, I was also, the main financial officer after Mio Leahy stepped down. And, between, like you said, between the meetings and the work itself, you're working 8 hours a day and people being really pretty consumed with how to keep the organization running. And and for some people, I wasn't able to do this. I mean, there are some other folks who are doing all that, plus they're going to Zazen and doing Shishin and doing all of that stuff. So it's like there's very little time and bandwidth to be able to do something like that. And I was really so lucky that for that time that I worked and was on staff and did these indexes of Suzuki Roshi's talks. I mean, that's like I think very few people have gotten to do something like that and actually be part of their job. Because usually everybody's so consumed with just keeping things going.
Yeah, yeah.
So kudos to all the folks who did this stuff.
Yeah, but like as what that brings to mind is in one of the Echo, and I did study books on the Echo, Sandokai, Genjo Koan, and Fugan Zengi when I was. The first two was with Suzuki Roshi, the Echo and Sandokai lectures, because he was giving those lectures, and the next two were when I were there was there as Shuso and director, and I'd be up late working on, and Trudy Hartman typed it all out.
Wow.
I knew how to type, but not like her. But oh God, I forget what point I'm going to make that's so salient. I'll think it'll come back to me. Let's see. But now, too many tangents.
Well, you got to say you were doing that on your own time. Sounds like you were.
Oh yeah, I did that on my own time.
Yeah, I have some of those study guides that were done back then, and also the Genjo Koan character by character translation.
That's what I did, but I didn't do a translation. I put other people's translations, and Ryogen Yoshimura did the kanji for all those books. And I still feel guilty. So many people helped me to do things, and a lot of times I just took them for granted, and I didn't credit them or me.
Yeah, none of these study guides and stuff seem to have anything about who put them together or did them, which is unfortunate because it's a huge amount of work.
Yeah. I just put, anyway. Yeah. So
but that's what it was like, David, back then. It's like, how old were you? 20, 30? It's like.
Well, I was 21 when I came to Cincinnati.
I mean, everybody had a lot of energy. I can't imagine.
Oh, yeah. A lot of energy. And it was communal. Oh, I know what I was going to say. It was communal back then. That's a whole different culture, and it was very giving. But the economy was different.
Yes.
It wasn't, you could get places cheap.
My apartment in Austin, Texas was $75 a month.
Yeah, there you go. So in the Echo, in one of the Echoes, it says, I can't remember now, the dedication of merit, you'd say, may this be protected. And so it's Nirin Tsuneni Tenji. That's may the two wheels of the monastery keep turning. And the two wheels are the Dharma wheel and the economic wheel. Now, this is as explained to me by, I don't know, Suzuki Roshi, Kobuchino, Yoshimura. So I had authorities explaining things to me, but the economic wheel is what keeps the temple going,
Money.
And it's without the economic wheel turning, there won't be one. So a lot of times people that are involved with, especially like Richard Baker, who was such a visionary and so focused on creating an organization that was sustainable and would last, and other people like that. Susan O'Connell's been that way, Ed Sadison. and others. But without that, you know, you don't have so much other, you know. And that the Dharma does not exclude that. You know, they sort of contain each other in a way. And we lose sight of that, think of it as being materialistic or whatever. But the temples need it.
Well, I think as Americans, we're very dualistic, black and white. We're very idealistic. And,
Yeah.
you know, Pamela Winfield, who's a well-known Buddhist scholar, wrote an article, which I can't remember the name of or where one could find it, but anyway, about how Dogen fundraised. And I think it was in how he, parts of, I think it's Bendoa, that he's actually using to encourage people to donate.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think as Americans, we have this, I don't know where we get where the history of, or the logic of this is for Americans, but this idea that spirituality should be free, like
That's
teachers
right.
shouldn't be paid.
That's Asia.
Huh? Asia?
That's Asia.
But it's not Japan.
Asia.
I mean, the Japanese Sangha, the Danka, they support the temple. Of course.
Oh, yes.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's like it's so unrealistic to think that you're going to have in the Jewish tradition. So my understanding is that the congregation supports the rabbi in a middle-class lifestyle. It's not just that they support them, but actually they support them in a lifestyle that they consider to be, appropriate for somebody to have a decent life. And somehow in the United States, it's kind of like, you're supposed to live on air or something. And the Zen Center, everything, and at our Zen Center, we don't charge for almost any of the things that we do. But the only reason we're able to do that is because we've had over the years some extremely generous donors.
That's right. That's right. Zen Center has developed a really solid base of support. Now, when I said that's Asia, Asia has had millennium to develop that base of support. So somebody wants to study Buddhism or whatever, they don't have to pay.
Yeah. Well, in Japan, you don't have to pay.
What they consider, huh?
In Japan, you don't have to pay once you get yourself there.
Yeah. And there's so much support. But they're very demanding of what it is to be a monk or a nun. I mean, you've got to get a niche if you're not going to get ordained like that. Like D.T. Suzuki never became a priest, I don't think. But, the work he did was phenomenal.
Yeah.
But like in India, it's like, you know Gita from India who got ordained at Zen Center?
Yeah, I think I did know Gita.
Yeah. Anyway, I was in Tiruvannamalai where she was living for 4 months in 2011. And the thought there of paying to go to an ashram or anything was just offensive to her.
Yeah.
But the support they have from lay people, and there's a very strong feeling, especially in Theravadan countries, that lay people support the monks, hoping to get reborn a monk in their next life. So I don't want that. Japan, Japan, less so, but somewhat like that. They're supporting the monks to practice. And in America, it's sort of like the practice is for everyone. It's very lay-oriented, and Suzuki's teaching was very lay-oriented, but also Yatsutani's that holds Sambon Kyoto, and that was very lay-oriented.
Well, I don't I'm sure somebody else has thought a lot about this, and but I'm don't read up too much on sort of contemporary Buddhism, but I think of American Zen centers as being these kind of hybrid monastic events. And Suzuki Roshi and Maizumi Roshi and all of these guys came over here, as kind of uh, radicals who were bringing a vision that they had of practice that I think they felt like they weren't getting in Japan. You would know more about this than I.
Right.
And, when they came, they brought Japanese monasticism. They didn't bring temple practice to San Francisco Zen Center. Suzuki Roshi brought monastic practice to San Francisco Zen Center. And so American Zen centers are these kind of hybrid monastic events, don't you think?
Yeah.
And
Well, there's still maybe, he gave this one talk when the Page Street was starting where neither priest nor lay. And hybrid, just like you said, that's another way of saying the same thing. And yeah, sort of strict, sort of
but in Japan,
high.
people are who go to temples in Japan, they don't sit zazen for the most part. They
No,
don't sit zazen. They
no.
don't do. They watch service, but they don't really participate in it, do they? Um,
Well, generally not. There are what they call, Zazen Kai.
yeah, and Jukai
There
people
will
go
be a
do
once a
Jukai.
week or once a month Zazen. Now, I live next door to Sogenji, where Shodo Harada is still
Uh-huh.
teaching. Oh, my God. With Priscilla Durant translating. And every Sunday, there'd be 170 lay people sitting Zazen. And I'd sit with the monks in the morning, but I'd sit with the lay people on Sunday and meet with them with the Rada. And, there was Kyosaku, which it's not Zen if there's no Kyosaku. It used to be really the stick. And so that was an impressive. He was very appreciative of lay practice. There was somebody who came to the temple, when the monks were just starting to sit at 5 a.m, would pour ice water over his head. And Radha thought that was
God,
great.
that sounds horrible.
I never saw that, but maybe it was something from the past. Yeah. Well, that's a good point you make. I really hadn't thought of it that way, that they brought a hybrid monastic. I mean, Maizumi, he came in like 55 or something. And he wanted, and, he was at Shinshu in L.A. when, what's his name, Yamada
Hmm.
was the abbot there. And when Suzuki came, they wanted him to be the bishop of Soto Zen in America. And he refused, smartly. So Yamada was until Tsumi came. And Maizumi, I knew Maizumi very well. I'd stay with him when I went there. He would have arguments. He would say, we should have zazen for lay people to come sit here at the temple. They were not interested, neither one of them. They tried a little, but then the congregation complained there was all these gaijin, hakujin, white people coming. And so Maizumi started his own place, and there was quite a bit of fighting for him to be able to do it. And yeah, Suzuki didn't have that problem.
Well, I don't know. I could imagine some conversations in the Soto Shu about this, missionary they send to Sokoji, and then he ends up opening a Zen center with all of these, you know, with all of these, gaijin, and And
Yeah.
I can imagine, I mean, I'm assuming that probably the Sotoshi was still paying Suzuki Roshi. Um, you
No,
know,
not that
you
I
don't
know
think
of.
so?
I never heard that.
Because,
No, the temple had to support him. There's different levels of
yeah,
support in Japanese temples, and the more support you get, the more control they
yes,
have. So I
yes.
don't think he'd want any. And he, he didn't even cash the checks the temple Sokochi gave him. He didn't. It's Oksan found Amitsu, his wife, when she came a few years later. She found them all like stuck in books and stuff. Uh, but he'd go to these Japanese-owned restaurants and eat and wouldn't pay. And yeah, but he had a good relationship with Yamada and Sumi. He deferred to them, have them give talks and stuff. But in Japan, he wasn't thought of as qualified, or they didn't know what the heck he was doing. He really didn't get much respect. People just thought he went over there because his wife had been murdered out of shame,
Uh-huh.
or that very frequently was said. Any priest that left at Japan to come to America to teach, or went to Brazil or other places, they'd done it to escape some bad reputation or something they'd done. And but yeah, he was very independent, forged his own way. He didn't want any connection with Japan at first, but he did both. He'd say that, and then he'd send people there and had this idea of them learning from us and us learning from them, an exchange. But he didn't want any control.
Yeah. Well, I started, became Kokusai Fukuyoshi, which I like to translate as a international teacher, but actually it means something like propagator of the Dharma. Um, I don't know if you know I've never gotten a really good straight translation of that.
Kokusai?
Kokusai Fukuyoshi.
Yeah, well, you know, you have to see it. Hey, incidentally, the way to find things like that is just ChatGPT.
Oh yeah, that's a great
Uh,
idea.
oh
I
yeah,
hardly ever.
that
I'm
that
not there, David. You're very,
I use it all
yeah.
the time. And all the crap you read about it, hear about it in media, you don't need to have any of those problems. It's research. It's use it for research. Keep it impersonal. There's even an impersonal setting on it now, with no encouragement, that I use. And Claude AI, I have that too. Oh yeah, you asked about that article with what's her name,
Winfield, Winfield,
whatever,
Pamela Winfield. I think it's Winfield.
Winfield. I would have, if it's published with that name, it's already got it.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's
some things like
it's Chat GPT, and what was the other one?
Claude AI,
Okay.
ChatGPT. Get through Open AI. Don't get it from anything else.
Okay. Open.
OpenAI is the pure ChatGPT. Everything else, it's embedded in a program.
Oh, okay.
And I don't use any embedded AI.
Yes, you just Google OpenAI and then you get Chat GPT.
Right, OpenAI. Now Google has AI, and that's improved Google.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. I marginally use that because it's the first thing that comes up, and they do great
yeah.
summaries.
Sometimes it's better than ChatGPT because ChatGPT can give you too much information and miss things. It's imperfect, but it's less imperfect than humans for me. Anyway, well, let's see now. So where are we? My mind goes blank, which is nice. This is really stimulating. You know, a lot of guests I have, the best, you know, way to have a podcast, you let them talk. You don't say anything. You say as little as possible. But everything you've talked about has stimulated me to want to have a conversation with you about it. So that's been really good. So, uh, is there anything we've missed or anything you want to go on about? I have no time limits. I don't care.
Well, there's nothing I want to go on about. And hey, you're the boss. This is your podcast.
No, 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 no. You're the boss. Yeah. So, did you say there's nothing you want to go on about,
No,
or
I don't have
something?
any like drums I want to beat or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, so there you are. Well, wait a minute. So, how did your Zindo get going? How did the move to Santa Fe happen? Who was involved? Was Catherine involved?
Yes. Catherine asked us to be her successors at Santa Cruz Zen Center. So we moved there in 2005 after having spent several years talking to her about this transition. We were there for a year. I think the best way to characterize what happened was Catherine was not ready to retire. I think she kept being the teacher there until she died, really. Um,
Yeah.
so she wasn't really ready to turn it over to us, and so it was there were problems, and we ended up leaving after a year. We went back to San Francisco Zen Center. Paul Haller was kind enough; he was avid then to take us back, and we lived at 340 for a year, and I worked for Zen Center. And then we had several students already in Santa Cruz, and so we came back and and opened our own Zen Center in 2007 across town. We're like a 15-minute drive from Santa Cruz Zen Center, and we all have
Mm-hmm.
an amicable relationship. We're all colleagues doing Zen
Yeah.
together, and
Yeah.
so yeah. And like for example, I'm doing a Genzo A on Genjo Koan in February, and they come over. There's some of their folks come over and take it, and we cross teach, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. Well, things are less competitive now than they were decades ago. Uh, there was like Les Kay at the Los Altos Zindom. He was, to me, he was basically, like they say, disrespected. But Suzuki Roshi respected him and ordained him because he's a guy you could depend on, you know? And Suzuki saw that and he wanted somebody in that Zindo who would take care of it. And Les, he wasn't like anybody else. And he felt people criticized him or were not respecting him because he was with IBM and into business. But it wasn't really that, because there were plenty of people at Zen Center who'd been into business. I mean, Silas could have bought all of Datsahara, and he was prepared to if fundraising didn't work, and he was a major donor to it. And he ended up, giving money away and stuff. But it wasn't because of that. It was because he was not at all part of the subculture that most of us were part of in some way or another. And so he wasn't part of the group think or something like that. And I could see that. I brought it up in board meetings. But I have great respect for him. But that sort of, in-group, out-group thing, it disappeared. The culture changes through the years.
Yeah, I think there's
Uh,
as teachers, as individuals, we all have different ways of even though we're in the same school, same lineage of presenting the Dharma and off making offerings. I think we're probably more lay oriented maybe than Santa Cruz Zen Center in the sense that we probably sit less zazen than they do. You know,
Mm.
and so we're just appeals to different things. Different people need different things. So,
Yeah.
and of course, part of it reflects where Jaku and I are in our practice, and how our bodies are holding up or not holding up, or whatever, and what we think is important. So I think there are different flavors, and it's all good. You know,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah. There's more tolerance for differences.
yeah, I don't expect
No.
the lay people at our Zendo to train like they're priests or something. Um, Certainly, if somebody's
Yeah.
getting ordained, that's a different deal. But as far as doing their day to day practice, I want to support them to get what they can from the Dharma and have a
Yeah.
better life, and better relationships and have kind
Yeah.
of make them happier people.
Yeah. Well, you're. I don't know, Jaku, or how she expresses herself as well, but if she, I think of her as being sort of like you, being real priests,
Yeah,
doing priestly work uh, with lay people, and you know maybe a little more like well, priests in Japan. A lot of them have jobs and different things, and like you were mentioning about the rabbis,
yeah.
uh,
I think
and
we're kind of like we want to more reflect a Japanese temple style than say a kind of hardcore semi monastic kind of practice that we grew up with at San Francisco Zen Center. I mean, I feel like if you're a priest, that's an important practice, and you need to know how you wear your robes and do all this stuff, but as lay people, I feel like I just want to support people's lives, and we do sit
yeah,
zazen. We just don't do like heavy duty stuff like shishins all the time and that kind of thing. So
yeah, yeah.
and
Well, there's a fellow named Rick McDaniel who now has a deal with Monkfish, my publisher,
uh-huh.
for these Tassar Stories books, who did like a 10-year study of Zen groups in America. Did he ever get hold of you?
No, no, I don't think
All
so.
right, I'll
He might
mention
have
that
talked to
to
Daijaku. I'm
him.
not sure.
Uh, but he said, his experience was with some East Coast Zen group. I can't even remember. I think it's in Canada. But he said when he went to the San Francisco Zen Center and he met with Steve, so it wasn't that long ago, maybe 10 years, 12 years ago, 15. He met with Steve Stuckey and some other people. He said this incident was like going to the Vatican. He'd shocked. He couldn't. He'd never experienced or seen anything like it. Uh, 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 he's he's been he's really spent a lot of time on that. And that's interesting. I have a much clearer picture of what you're doing now.
Well, like for example,
Uh,
we a couple of years ago we started doing sutra copying, copying the Heart Sutra every month, um,
oh,
that kind of thing. So I never did that at San Francisco Zen Center, but I feel like that's something that people really enjoy doing. We don't do it with ink and brushes and stuff. We just do it with a pen, and people trace the Heart Sutra, And then we have some, rituals that we do when they're done, and that seems to be very satisfying to people.
What language?
They can do it in Romanji, or they can do it in English, or they can do it. We have several different templates that people use.
Kanji? Do they do kanji?
Um, no, not so much. I mean, I was starting to do some copying in kanji, but it's hard. And
I did that for
yeah,
years.
but I bet you knew the stroke orders too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
You got to know the stroke
that's the
order.
thing. It's like, we're not getting into it on that level of, how to learn the stroke orders
Yeah.
and stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah. Stroke order, if you know, you need stroke order to be able to look kanji up.
Well, that's true.
And like
And
kanji dictionaries, they're by stroke order.
that's true. That's all true. And so no, we're not teaching people the stroke order to do kanji. It's just English or
Yeah.
Romanji, or also we have something called seal script. You're probably familiar with that.
No.
Seal script is those kind of like it's a kind of script that was created in China for seals to like a chop, and it's very fairly
Oh, yeah.
angular. And I found that online. So we also can do a seal script, and as far as I know, that doesn't have a stroke order, and it's not as it's just fairly. There's little loops and lines and things like that, but it's not doesn't look like kanji. It's more like looking at like Times New Roman or something in English.
Yeah. Well, we had to have one when we lived in Japan, Elin and me. Uh, I can't even remember what they're called. And that's how you signed things.
Yeah, with a chop.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have
Uh,
we got these little tiny round ones that the Japanese sent to us so we can put our seal next to our names for documents. And
right. Well, priests would have different ones. I mean, Suzuki had different ones. He had, uh,
yeah, I think I have
and
three.
yeah,
I've got three chops for, both names and one name and whatever, yeah.
yeah. And you press them into the ink, and then you press that onto the
Yeah.
paper. Uh,
So we do
and
those for
yeah,
Ketchmiakus and things like that.
oh yeah, my God, Ketchimiyakus. Wow, they're complex.
Well, our students
That's
do
the.
their own
I should
Ketchmiakus, which
explain
is nice.
explain what a Ketchimiyaku is.
Ketchmiaku is the lineage from Buddha down to, well, in our case, down to us, but it goes all the way down to Dogen, and then, winds its way to Suzuki Roshi, and then Sojin, and then us. Um, I don't know, it's like, it's a diagram. Okay. You know what it is,
Yeah.
David, but
Well,
it's
yeah,
a
you open
it's a
them
long
up.
diagram that is the Buddha's head is up at the top, and it goes through, and there's feet down at the
Right.
bottom. That's of course
Right.
the
They're little
symbolic.
square. It's square,
Long,
folded paper.
rectangular, you know.
And then well, but the one you have, it goes down into a square, right? That's what I think of. And then you open it up,
Oh, you mean you fold
and
it
it's
up? Yeah, you fold it
rectangular.
up into a small packet about this big.
Yeah, right. About
But the text,
fi 5 inches.
something like that. I mean, it kind of depends on. I think it depends on the size of the Ketchamiaku itself, how it gets folded up. But basically, it gets folded in thirds this way, and then you fold it up, and you fold it up, and you fold it up, and you leave this little flap so you can do this thing on it that kind of seals it, as in a symbolic way.
Yeah, yeah. And uh, to get transmission, uh, a lot of people, at least in the past, they had to write it all out, or
Yeah,
I
we
don't
did
know
that. We
what.
sat in
Uh,
a cabin 5 at Tasahara was our scriptorium, and I think that it's done on silk, and I think it's about 6 feet long, and I haven't opened it in a while. And yeah, we did the whole thing. We did 3 documents, with ink, the ink and the brush and the whole thing. Sat in there and did a document a day. Vicki Austin helped us, and so we did the 3 main documents. And yeah, that was really glad to be able to do that, to do dormant transmission at Tassajara. That was really important.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, you're you're a good candidate for it. Uh, indeed. Mm.
Dave, we've been talking for an hour and a
So,
half. So
yeah, that's right. That's right. Pretty good, huh?
yeah, pretty good.
Uh, I've really enjoyed talking with you. Uh, and I've learned a lot, and it's really good to be with you. We've been uh, emailing
Yep.
back and forth for decades. Oh, and I thank you for your support for Cuke Archives.
So important. What you're
Uh,
doing is so important. Thank you so much.
uh, yeah, so we'll see for how much longer, but it will continue. I mean, Peter Ford's got it, um, and I've had people in universities ask if I put my archives there, and then I don't want to have anything. If they've got lawyers and stuff, they'd want. Who knows what they'd want? That- I don't. I never use lawyers or any of that. I don't. I don't get permission for anything. But also, I don't trust them. I just say make it publicly available, keep it public available. It's all online. Susan O'Connell talked to me about that. I said, Susan, everything that's important is on Cuke.com and ShinyuSuzuki.com. We download whole websites as part of the archive. And like Terabas, you're familiar with
Oh, yes.
Terabas? Oh, wow. That's incredible. And it's Soto Zen.
Well,
Uh,
the translation of the Japanese it's in English. Carl Bluefield did this along with William Bodiford and some others. Took him like 20 years to do this translation of the Shobogenzo. So it's 8 volumes. It's like $350 for the set. Like within a week of it being translated, being published, it was on Terabas.
wow.
I mean,
Wow.
all the PDF files of all the books. That had to have been some
Yeah.
kind of inside job because I don't know how they managed to do that.
Well, the guy was a disciple of Noiri Roshi. Oh, he still is. I mean, he's still going. And the Terabas website, it's just part of their family furniture business website. Something like that. It's
It is a little
amazing.
funky, but
It's out of
it's got a
Hungary,
lot of
too.
resources.
Yeah, out of Hungary.
And yeah,
Oh,
so they
we
don't. I mean,
we
copyright laws
linked to.
mean nothing to them.
Yeah, right, right. They and I see things eye to eye. Uh, they, I mean, I I don't even know the guy's name. It might be Terabas. I forget. I mean, I have known in the past, but and I've I've tried to get him to do a podcast. He's he's reclusive, or he just does his work.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You,
it's a
you
it's
know,
a it's a little bit of a hard resource because you know that people who work hard and write books and do all this stuff and you don't get much money for a book anyway if you're the author or whoever it is. And so in a way,
that's true.
it takes away from people who put a lot of hard work into things making any kind of money from the work that they've done. So there's that side of it. And the other side of it is, of course, is that it's an incredible resource and people can go and find, I mean, amazing stuff on that website. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's incredible.
So even though I
Uh,
kind of feel torn about it, I still go on there and look for stuff. So
yeah. Oh, I'm not torn. Uh, Oh, he's got so much on there. Uh, yeah, and yeah. Well, so may you, may your temple, may Niren Tsuneni Tenji, may the wheels of your temple and your teaching turn forever.
Thank you. May your wheels turn forever too, David. And it was great to get back in touch with you, and maybe we could continue to write each other emails.
Yeah, yeah, you bet. So thanks a lot, Shinshu. Hey, give me your full name.
In my Dharma name or
Yeah, everything.
my last name is Roberts.
Yeah, Shinshu. But what's your given name?
Leilani.
Oh yeah, I mean I've got
Leilani.
all that. I just forget. And you have used another
I
Japanese.
yeah. So, at San Francisco Zen Center, our names are like Dharma name, way name. The first name is your Dharma name, the second name is your way name. For some reason,
Not always.
Suzuki Roshi had the second name was the name that people use. Still true at San Francisco Zen Center. People use
That was true with me.
they use their way name
But he never used it.
as their
Yeah,
regular
second name.
name. If they're whatever their Dharma
But
name. Well, your
yeah,
generation,
but he would underline.
your
He
generation
would
people didn't
underline
do
which
that.
one. Huh? Well, the Suzuki would underline which name
Yeah,
was the name you were to be
so
called.
at least the way it is now, it's like my I've had like a few different iterations of my names, but my original name that I was given was uh, Shinshu Kokai, and
Oh, right,
so
right,
I used Kokai for a long time at San Francisco Zen Center, but
right.
the traditional way in Japan would have been to use Shinshu because that would have been the Dharma name. So
Oh,
so now my name is anyway, now I use Shinshu because that's my Dharma name. My Kokai
that's
is my way
interesting.
name.
Well, that's true. Shinju is his family. His father gave him that name. Um, uh, um, his teacher, Gyokjun Son, gave him Shogaku. He'd never used Shogaku. And he kept Suzuki, Shinju Suzuki. Uh, Incidentally, he gave me, I was Kisan Zenyu. And the second one, like you said, is the one he underlined. Almost always, like you said, was the second one. But he never called me that. No one ever called me that. He'd call other people by their Buddhist names. He always just called me David.
Yeah,
Uh,
when I first came to Zen Center in '86, nobody used their Dharma name except for uh, one guy whose name I can't remember, John. Uh, um, Not Tiger Layton. It was the other. His last name is Leahy.
oh, Mio.
No, not Mio either. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he used his Dharma name, but he was the only person I knew who used their Dharma name. Who was like,
Is that right?
yeah, and then everybody, like Leslie James, and everybody used their regular name. Mel used
Yeah.
Mel, and Blanche was Blanche, and all that stuff. And then I remember I started using my Dharma name, as did a lot of people in my kind of generation at San Francisco Zen Center, and people would say, "Well, oh, your name is Lonnie. It's not, Kokai or whatever." It's like, I'm not going to call you Kokai. Your name is Lonnie. So it was like that. And
Is that right?
yeah,
I wasn't aware of
after a
that.
while, people started calling me my Dharma name because, that was kind of like what people were doing. But for a long time, it was like, and there's still some people, a few who still call me, you know, Lonnie, or some people just know me as Kokai, which is fine. I don't care. The thing, just don't call me late for dinner. It's like, whatever people want to call me. I just sometimes it's hard to keep straight. Who knows me as what. So mostly I just try to be Shinshu and just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
You remember
That's
Kokai
what.
probably.
But now you mention it, I remember
Yeah.
it. But you had to mention it.
Yeah, but so forget it.
Um,
Just forget it.
I, yeah, generally I've been I hadn't really forgotten Leilani, but Shinshu sort of erased everything else pretty much in my mind. But I see the others sometimes, and I go, oh yeah, like in email names
Well,
and
that's the
stuff.
problem. If you over the years change your Dharma name, which I did. That's I mean, I didn't personally change it, but I did ask it to be changed. My first, when I received Jukai, uh, I received it from Tenjin Anderson, and he gave me the Dharma name Seshui, which I thought sounded like a hog call or something. So when I got ordained, I asked my name to be changed.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't like the way it sounded. It was,
Well, it's hard to say.
it's very Chinese, Seshui,
Yeah.
but I ran across it reading something in the Shobogenzo, and it's actually I can't remember what it was, but it was it's a reference to something very nice, but at the time that didn't register for me in any way. I still don't think Seshui is the best thing. And then when I got ordained, I asked Reb if he would also do it with Leslie James. So the two of them uh, gave me my names again. So that was nice.
Oh. Oh. Wow. Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think Seshui
So,
means clear water, which is actually quite pretty, the translation.
yeah, that makes sense to me. I can see that.
Okay,
Clearwater.
Davidson, I'm
Yeah.
I'm running out of steam.
Yeah. All right. This has been good.
Thank you
Thanks a
so
lot.
much. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Okay, you too. Bye bye.
So thanks a lot, Shinshu Roberts. That was wonderful. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed hearing what you had to say, things I knew, things I didn't know. And it's been great being connected with you all these years. And I look forward to learning and hearing more from you. Oh, let me remind you, it's the Ocean Gate Zen Center in Capitola, oceangatezen.org. And the book is Meeting Myriad Things, a Zen Practitioner's Guide to Dogen's Gensho Koan. This has been a Cuke Audio podcast. I'm DC Puba of Cuke Audio and Cuke Archives, coming to you from sleepy Sanur with Doggett Bandita, Feline Manis, and dear lovely Katrinka. And we're wishing you and yours and all of us a grand awakening.